Welcome to Pario magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I am joined by an alt pop singer and the star of Netflix reality show Byron Baes. Welcome to Pario magazine, St. James.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So we're here today to chat about your journey through the world of music, and in particular, the newest single, Aquarius. Before we dive into those things, though, do you want to give our audience a quick introduction as to who you are away from the music studio?
Sure. Yeah, I'm St. James, but outside the studio, I'm just Sarah, just a Gold Coast girl. I'm not really sure what else to say. Music is such a huge part of my life.
Yeah, I think that's kind of every creative person there. The creative passions take over.
Yeah, exactly. It's all or nothing for me. So yeah, it's pretty much the day to day, every day. But aside from music, a bit of a summer baby. I love the beach, and I live right on the beach, so that's great. And I'm just a regular Gold Coast girl, I guess.
Very nice. So in terms of music, when did you discover this passion?
I've sort of always had it. When I was really, really little, my mum used to sing. She grew up in the Seychelles, so as the whole island is very Catholic, so she went to Catholic school and did choirs and stuff like that, and she learned a whole heap of French and Creole kind of church hymns, and she taught it to me and my sister when we were little, and I just loved it from when I was really, really young. My dad was very into like 70s rock. So we always had Bob Dylan and David Bowie and Talking Heads and stuff all playing in the house. And just from when I was really young, I just always remember being obsessed with music. I discovered Rage and music videos when I was about 4 or 5. And yeah, I just literally obsessed with it. So yeah, it's just always been around.
Miss those good old days of Saturday morning Rage.
My gosh. Oh, they were the best.
In terms of your musical influences and inspirations, would it be those artists that were playing around the house as a kid?
100%. So they're definitely my earliest influences. And then when I kind of figured out what sound I like, I was very into 90s pop, and early 2000s, like classic pop music. And I was always quite fascinated. I remember asking the question why pop music sounds so simple but is so huge and so what makes it so universal, and I could never really answer it until I started kind of researching and studying it and figuring out that there's a whole science behind making pop music that sounds simple but it's catchy as hell and can connect with a lot of people. So yeah, that's always been where I've wanted to go. And when I started writing, I was kind of dabbling and doing more indie sort of stuff, but I found that wasn't really me. I really like the big over the top clean pop productions and stage shows, because I'm a performer. I love singing on stage, and those kinds of big shows were what has always appealed to me. So figuring out what sound I wanted to develop and what kind of artist I want to be, and that was kind of a no-brainer for me. So
has that sort of influence moved across into this latest single, Aquarius, being a bit more pop focused?
Yeah, so it's just been it's quite a strange one, I guess. The first single I released was Reckless Life, and I wrote it at the start of the pandemic. So it was, I was also living in Melbourne. It was winter. I feel that essence very much comes out in it. It's like a lot darker and a bit more bleak. And so my music is very much a reflection of what's going on with me at the time. And so I did used to write a lot of sort of darker stuff. Now I'm in such a better headspace. I'm a lot happier, and that's kind of coming out. So Aquarius is sort of the direction that I'm kind of heading in. But in saying that, the new stuff that I've got coming out after Aquarius is kind of different again. I'm writing more love songs and stuff now. I don't know, so we'll just have to see.
Is that just due to the things that are happening in your life and the influences that are coming in from around you?
Yeah, pretty much. I also find that I write about what's happening to me at the time, and then once I've written about it, even if we're still living in that kind of state, or Aquarius is about the age of Aquarius, and sorry, excuse me. Yeah, just what's going on in the world right now, and that's still happening. But it's like once I've written it, it's like sucking the poison out. I have all these thoughts and fears and feelings, and then I write about it, and it comes out, and then I'm like, okay, I want to write about something else now. So I'm always being influenced by what's going on in the outside world and how it affects me internally. But there's a lot going on, so I guess there's a lot to write about.
It's kind of therapeutic from the sounds of it to just
100%.
get everything out at once.
Yeah, 100%.
And then how has the response been so far to the single, particularly given that it is in that different direction to previous songs?
Yeah, it's been good. I was a bit nervous because the single I released before it came from the show. It was one of the songs that I performed on Byron Baes, and the executive producer of Baes said, you've got to record a studio version and release it because it's such a big part of the show. So I wasn't actually intending on having that be a single, but that's where a lot of people got to know me, was with the release of that song. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking going in a different direction. For me, it didn't feel like I was going in a different direction, but I guess people hear one thing from you and they think that that's what your sound is. So it's always a bit like there's so many sides to me and so many different sounds that I kind of embody and relate to and that I produce. And but yeah, it can be a bit funny for people. If they like that sound, they might not like the other. But it's been really positive. I've been very, very lucky, and everybody who loved Liars, the single before, has come forward and said how much they love Aquarius. So yeah, I'm so happy. It's been great.
Fantastic. And then how influential were your producers, Luke Palmer and Matt Bartlett, for this record?
This one in particular, I kind of had a pretty solid sound that I was after for it. I created this really basic demo track and sent it to Luke. And he was like, yeah, we can work with something here. And I listened to it the other day. I hadn't heard it since we were first, started working on it. And it was pretty close to what it sounds like now. Obviously way worse quality because I'm like the world's worst producer, but the essence is there. So with the previous tracks, like especially the first single, Reckless Life, I really didn't know where I wanted to go with it. And Matt Bartlett really did make that scale, like that track. The instrumental is like all credit goes to him, and Luke as well. He worked on it, but Matt created that sound. Whereas I like to think that I created the sound for Aquarius, and Luke and Matt just made it a lot better.
Do you enjoy that collaborative process or this new path of doing it yourself and getting a solid sound before you go to them?
I think it's easier when I have a more solid idea in my mind as to what I want. But if I don't, then that's okay. I think it just depends song to song. So one of the other tracks that we're working on, I did know what I wanted. And then another one, because we got two going at the same time, that Luke and I are working on, where he actually built the track first. We just did like a session in a day in the studio where we just, he built a track and we had no content, no lyrics, no idea of anything. And I wrote a song around it. So it is kind of different every time. And it depends on, it just depends. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But both of these tracks I feel are quite strong and I really like them. So yeah, I guess we just vibe it out and see what we feel on the day usually.
Okay. So from the sounds of it, fans should be expecting more music either this year or early next year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. There's 3 at the moment that I think should be, I mean, I should be in the studio today, but the sinusitis got me. So we've rescheduled back again next week, and we should be able to knock over quite a few. So it's just working out the timing and things. With getting the songs done is one thing, but obviously there's a whole other side of things with the getting the song out there and the marketing side of things and the visuals that go with it and stuff that takes a little bit of time. But definitely there'll be more music before the end of the year. Yeah, there should be a bunch more stuff. So
Brilliant. And is there hopes to sort of hit the road and tour around the country once you have a couple of songs out as well?
Definitely. Yeah. So I want to have enough music out there to create a good set where people who come and watch have heard the music. It's great to premiere a new song, but I don't want to have a set where it's all material that the audience hasn't heard before, because I love the idea of being on stage and having people be able to sing along and to know the songs that I'm singing. So yeah, I will have to release a couple more, I think, before I feel confident enough to have a really solid show put together. And I want it to be very polished and stuff. It's going to take quite a bit of work, but it's 100% in there. I was going to say pipeline, but not even, like, it's in the plans. It's happening. Just trying to juggle everything and get everything all together. So yeah, but absolutely.
Awesome. And you mentioned being on the Byron Baes show. How was that experience?
It was really tough. It was such a great experience for me. I suffered from anxiety for forever, like 10, 15 years of really bad anxiety. And it was one of those things where I was kind of always able to just manage it, but always keep myself in these safe zones where I didn't push it too far and to trigger my anxiety. But this was very anxiety triggering, even if you're not somebody who deals with that. So it really threw me in the deep end, and it was the best thing I could have done, because I don't really sweat anything anymore. It's just a lot of like high pressure, obviously having cameras on you, being vulnerable and showing the world who you are is like very scary. And just being aware everything that you say, everything that you do is being captured on camera. And not being in the editing chair is very scary. You hand yourself over and you just hope that you get shown in the most accurate light. I know some of the other contributors weren't as lucky. They didn't, everybody, there's light and dark in everyone, and it's not black and white. But yeah, obviously they've got to create a show, so it's got to be entertaining, and you got to show the bad parts. And there was probably more bad parts of some people than others. So yeah, I feel very blessed, but I worked really hard to get to be myself on the show and not to succumb to what do you say, like just like, I guess, pressures of saying things for the sake of being funny or being nasty or whatever, and just saying like, how would I, if this was the real world and there weren't cameras around, how would I behave in this situation? So I'm very proud of how hard I worked to just make sure I was as true to myself as possible.
Yep. Yeah. Watching the show, it looked like you had a bit of a hard time on there, but I think you were portrayed quite well. So I think it was overall a positive for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm so blessed that from the start, we were told it's going to be from a major streaming service, and kind of everyone in the cast put two and two together and worked out it was Netflix. And, we were told it's going to be aired in 148 countries. And I said, I want to be able to sing. I want people to be able to see me and my music. Like no musician that's like striving to break it, especially internationally, would say no to an opportunity like that. So I feel really fortunate that kind of fell on my lap.
Did you find inspiration for new music from that experience?
I wrote while I was filming, definitely, and the second single, Liars, was written while I was filming. That all happened. That was all 100% legitimate. Now it was a weird thing, because once we finished filming, and I did actually, spoiler alert if anyone is listening to this and hasn't watched it, I did leave and go back to the Gold Coast at the end, which if you follow me on social media, you can see that I'm on the Gold Coast. And it was a weird thing. It was like leaving this past life behind, and I kind of just never really looked back. I've never even been back to Byron since I finished filming. So after that, it was like kind of just get on with it. And I don't really think anything that I've written since leaving the show is about that experience. I might be influenced by it because I'm a different person now since being on there, but certainly it's not in the forefront of my mind. I'm so grateful for it. but now I'm like on to the next thing.
Okay, so from the sound of it, you probably wouldn't do a second season if they asked.
I always thought that I would, but it would depend on a number of things. If, you know, when it was going to be, what they wanted to show of me. It's such a different world now for all of us, because, you know, people who've watched the show now see us on social media, so they know what we're doing in our day to day. And, you know, is there even a part for me in there? I'm still have friends in Byron, so, you know, I could very easily go down there, but, you know, I don't know what kind of stories of everybody else on the show they want to follow. So it's really honestly up in the air, and I'm just living life now as if there is no season 2, because I have to. I've got to just get on with it, and there's so much music stuff and other life stuff going on that, you know, yeah, but we'll see. Never say never.
Yeah, I guess with the music taking off, it's a little bit hard to find time to just go and live in Byron for 6 or 8 weeks and film a show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track this creative journey moving forward?
Absolutely, like on socials. I've got my music's on Spotify, so adding my music to your playlists is the best way. So then, you know, it's on your current rotation. All of the links are in my Instagram bio. So if you want to give me a follow, I put all my updates there, like life updates and music updates and absolutely everything. And you can find links to all of my other things on there. And yeah, just sharing and streaming the songs. And that's what I tell all my friends, like, put it in a playlist that you listen to when you're at the gym or you're driving or something, because all of those streams help so much. So yeah.
And the handle for the Instagram bio, so people can go straight there?
It's st.james.music. So st.james.music.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time, and rest up and heal up and get back in the studio.
Thank you so much.